Self-trust is a huge issue that a lot of us struggle with, and it's a shame because if you don't have self-trust, then what do you have? If you don't have self-trust, it means that you can't make big, brave, and bold decisions in life. If you don't have self-trust, then you can't move forward after risks and failures. If you don't have self-trust, you can't achieve anything in life. This is by far one of the most important things that you can learn to develop. Learning how to develop a deep sense of self trust is going to take you so far. If you struggle to trust yourself in life, then you will struggle to achieve anything big in life. Self trust needs to be at the core of the mindset work that you do because it's self trust that is going to allow you to persevere after failures so that you can go out there and continue to achieve your goals and dreams. So if you feel like you second guess your decisions, you second guess your abilities, you constantly go back and forth between decisions, and you just don't know how to trust yourself to move forward in life, then in this video, I'm about to share 3 steps that are just going to completely transform your self trust and help you cultivate a strong level of self trust so that you can go out there and maximize your potential. Self trust is something that I have really struggled with a lot before. And I think, really that just came from years of me making poor choices that weren't aligned with the best version of myself. And over the years, I've gotten to this place where I've cultivated such a strong level of self trust. And honestly, being in this place is so much better than being in a place where you don't have self trust because now it's like no matter what failure comes, no matter what objections I have on my way to achieve my goals, I know that I got myself. I know that I can get through this. I know that no matter what happens, I will find a way to get what it is that I want in life. And this is why developing a sense of self trust is so important. And this conversation of self trust is something that I talk about with my patients all the time. And there are honestly so many reasons as to why we struggle with self trust. A couple of big ones is the fear of failure, right? So, fearing that you are going to fail is a huge reason that actually prevents people from moving forward. Overthinking is a big one, and really not learning how to master our thoughts and emotions, right? And that's what leads to a lot of overthinking. Past mistakes, a lot of people use their past failures, their past mistakes, and they just put that label on themselves. And as a result of that, they really destroy their self-trust and their ability to trust themselves. And really, it's about reframing the way that you look at failures. External validation is a huge reason that we lack self-trust. And so much of the time, it's like our gut, our intuition is guiding us towards one way, but then because of the external world, the external validation and reassurance from the outside that we try to get, it really clouds our ability to listen to our intuition and be guided as to the next best step for us to actually take. People pleasing is also another part of that too. And so, as you can see, there are so many reasons as to why you are now in this spot where you feel like your self trust is significantly broken. What's great though is that you don't have to stay here. And there's so much you can do to build that self trust back. And with that being said, let's get into the 3 steps to help you build powerful self trust. Step number 1 is to get clear on what is actually important to you. One of the big reasons that we lack self trust and we find it really difficult to make decisions that align with what we truly want is because we don't even know what's actually important to us, which is really sad. Like, when was the last time you actually sat down and thought about your life and asked yourself, what is actually important to me in my life? Not a lot of us take time to sit down and reflect on these things. And what ends up happening is that the things that we think are important to us aren't always really the things that are important to us. And oftentimes, these things that we think are important to us as a result of society, as a result of culture, as a result of your parents and your family background and where you've grown up. And they aren't really things that are truly and authentically important to you. If you want to start cultivating a strong level of self trust and start making powerful decisions in your life, then you first need to determine your values. Your values are the things that are the most important to you. These are the things that matter to you a lot. And a lot of people experience unhappiness, disharmony in their life because they are not living a life true to their authentic, true values. And when you can actually take the time to sit down and figure out what your values are and start building your life around your values and making powerful decisions around your values, your self trust will build so freaking fast. So fast. Because now you're tuning into what is important to you, what feels good to you, and building your life based on that instead of building a life based on what other people want from you. And we experience so much anxiety in our life when we are not able to listen to what is true to us and feels good to us. And as soon as we step away from that and we choose to listen to other people, it creates so much anxiety within ourselves, and it also completely ends up destroying our self-trust. And I can give honestly so many examples of this in my life, growing up, making decisions based on what I thought my parents would want from me. Being in relationships, I just got out of a relationship, and I feel like so many of the decisions that I had made being in that relationship were made based on my partner and what he would want from me instead of really thinking about what it is that I want. And not like he did anything to make me think that way and do that way, but it's just I got so caught up in my people pleasing and getting the external validation that I completely lost a sense of myself. And so what did that do? That created a lot of internal anxiety. It completely broke my self-trust, my self-confidence, my self-esteem. And so part of picking up the pieces is now, rebuilding that self-trust and really tuning into what is important to me and acting based on that. And when I look back at my past, so much of it, I made decisions based on how I wanted other people to perceive me. I wanted other people to see me in this certain way. And as a result of that, that's how I would show up in this world instead of actually making decisions and showing up the way that felt good to me. And when we don't listen to our inner knowing, our inner selves, and building a life based on that, we will feel anxious, we will feel unhappy, and most importantly, unfortunately, we will have zero self trust. And when you have zero self trust, you can't make big, bold decisions and moves to build an incredible, amazing life. One of the most important things that you can do is to uncover your values to see what's important to you at the end of the day. The way that you uncover your values is that you go through a list of values. Honestly, Google it. You can find a list of values anywhere. I want you to go through a list of values and check mark off all the values that you feel like are important to you. Once you've checked them off, then I want you to take similar values and group them together. Try not to have more than 5 to 6 different groups. And once you've had those 5 to 6 different groups, then I want you to actually pick out a value that you feel like best represents the whole group. Once you've picked that value out, I want you to define it and think about what does it look like to live your life by that value and make decisions by that value. I recently just did this values exercise because I'm going through this major transitionary period in life, and I try to do this exercise once a year. Or I do it sooner if I'm going through major life transitions, which I am right now. And so I have my list of values here that I wanted to take you through so you could really just get an example of what it means to find your values and then actually start to live your life by them and build decisions around them. So for me, one of the values that came up for me was celebration. And for me, that means to live life in celebration. And the reason why it's so important for you to define your values is because celebration to me could mean something very different to you. And so to me, living life in celebration means to be in a state of gratitude, of giving, of hopefulness, of trusting, of faith. And that's what it means for me to live in celebration. And so what this means now moving forward is that it's about making decisions that allow me to continue living in the state of celebration, of this gratitude, of this giving and generosity, of this trusting, of this faith. So as you can start to see how powerful it is to start to uncover your values because they give you insight as to what is important to you in this stage of life right now so you can make powerful decisions and build your life around that. Another one of my values is to inspire. And to me, that means to be a master of my craft and to inspire others to build a big, beautiful life. And on a day-to-day, that means that I'm going to take care of my health as much as possible so that I can be an inspiration to other people of what it means to live a healthy life, to show up and take care of yourself every day. It means that I'm going to unapologetically run towards my goals and show other people around me what it means to persevere and how you end up achieving your goals at the end of the day. So as you can start to see, right, this can actually make a really big difference in terms of how you show up in the world. Another one of my values was intuition. So that means for me to live life in alignment with spirit. You can call it God, universe, whatever name you kind of want to give it. And so that means I'm going to make decisions in my life that allow me to live in alignment with them. Community was another one. And that for me, this means to have a powerful community that supports me. So this means that I'm going to make decisions that allow me to cultivate a powerful, strong community in my day-to-day basis. And then longevity for me was another one. So this means to make choices about my body that support a long, healthy life. Knowing now that these are my values in this stage of my life that I am in, when I am to come across making decisions about my business, about my social life, my personal life, I'm going to make sure that they align with my values and what is important to me. And if these decisions and where I'm moving forward don't allow me to live in line with my values, then I know that I need to make some changes, because if I'm not living in life in alignment with what is important to me, I will not be happy, and that is going to completely destroy my self-trust. By far, this is one of the most important things that you can do. And if you have a partner, do it with your partner. Look at what their values are. Create a series of values for your family. Such an important, beautiful exercise that you can start doing. Step number 2 to build strong self-trust is to keep the promises that you make to yourself. So many of us on a day-to-day basis are telling ourselves we're going to do this and this and that and that and this, and we end up doing none of it, or we end up only doing 1 or 2 things. And what ends up happening is that when you keep breaking the promises you make to yourself, it's going to completely break your self-trust. And the way that I want you to think about it is like this. Say you are about to go on a date with someone, or someone, cute asks you on a date, and they tell you that they're going to pick you up at 7:00 tonight. Be ready. You're ready at 7:00, and then they send you a message and they're like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. I got sick today, so I just can't make it. Let's reschedule to tomorrow. You'd be like, okay, all right, no worries. You'd be a little sad, but you're like, whatever, it's rescheduled to tomorrow. And then it reschedules to tomorrow. You're ready at 7:00, and then they message you and they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I can't. I'm honestly so exhausted. I had just such a long day at work. And then you're like, oh, wow, okay, all right. You're a bit more upset this time, probably a little bit annoyed now. And they're like, okay, let's just do it tomorrow. Like, I promise, tomorrow this date will happen. They're like, okay. And then the third time comes around and you're ready, and then they still cancel for some sort of reason. And by this point, you're probably going to be so freaking fed up, and you're going to be like, okay, screw this person. I'm never going to go on a date with them ever again. And you're going to cut them out of your life. That trust is completely broken. You can't trust that they're going to show up at 7:00 and actually go on this date with you. And you're not even willing to give them that chance to rebuild that trust back again, because they've just ruined it so many times. Now, this same thing is happening to you internally, mentally. This is happening to you internally, mentally. Like, isn't that wild? And it's like, no wonder you can't make big, bold decisions to move forward in life. No wonder you can't overcome failures, because you literally cannot keep the simplest, smallest promises that you make to yourself. This is something that I have really, really had to work towards. And there's one area I'm still working towards it on, which is my to-do list. And I know that you relate to this. How many times have you put like 20 things on your to-do list and you realize you only have time for 3? This is me all the time, and it's something I struggle with so much, and I really have to get better at it. And I try to now limit myself to only doing 3 to 5 things in a day instead of a 20, and be more realistic about my schedule. But man, oh man, is it tough. But what ends up happening is that every time I do this, I feel so awful about myself, because I'm like, great, look at me failing at it again. Great, look at me, I'm not good enough yet again. And so important that you're being realistic about how much you can actually get done, because as soon as you tell yourself you're going to do 20 things and you can only get through 3, self-trust, promise, everything is broken. So you need to get smart about the promises that you make to yourself. Don't tell yourself you're going to wake up at 6 a.m. to go work out if you're going to bed at 1 a.m. Like, it's not happening. You need to get enough sleep, right? So stop telling yourself you're going to do things and setting yourself up for failure when you know it's literally impossible for you to go and do those things. And instead, start setting up your life in a way so that you can keep the promises that you make to yourself. And what ends up happening is that when you keep the promises you make to yourself, you stack your wins. You stack the wins. And when you stack the wins on these little things, it makes it so much easier for you to make bigger, bolder decisions in your life as to how you want to move forward. But you need to stack the little wins on an everyday basis so that you can build really strong and powerful self-trust. And the last step to really help you build powerful self-trust in your life is to listen intuitively to what makes you feel anxious, to what makes you feel not so good in your life, and to either create boundaries on that thing or to let it go. This is probably going to be a hard one for you, if I'm being honest, because a lot of us hold on to a lot of crap in our lives, a lot of shit in our life that we don't need to hold on to because it feels really scary and uncomfortable to let go. And what ends up happening is that when you go against your gut feeling, and that gut feeling that is telling you when something isn't good for you, that gut feeling that's telling you that this thing is bad for you, but you choose to go against it, you are breaking your self-trust every single time. So what are some of those things that you need to take a really hard look at in your life? Are there past stories and beliefs? What habits in your life that your body tells you, like, this is awful, don't do it, but you continue to do it? Relationships, your job. Right? And I'm not saying go and like quit, like drop everything right now and quit. But what I'm just saying is just start tuning into the things in your life that don't feel so good anymore. It could be your friendships and the people you surround yourself with. Because every time you go against what doesn't feel good to you, you're not listening to yourself. You're not building that self-trust. Instead, it's getting you further and further disconnected and away from your true self. I've had to make some really hard decisions in the past couple of years of friendships and relationships to let go of because my body internally was screaming to me, these are not the right people. This is not the right person for you. And for a little while, I ignored it. But let's be honest, at the end of the day, when something isn't right to you, everything reveals itself at the end of the day. And then you have no choice but to leave or cut these friendships or leave these people, essentially. And so it's so important you start listening to those things now because your body is always guiding you. Your mind is always guiding you. And I want you to really take this moment right now and look at what have you not been listening to internally within yourself. And if some of these things are coming up now, I'm not saying you have to leave anything right now or right away, but you need to start looking at and building that plan in place, building that inner strength, stacking those everyday wins so that you can make these powerful decisions and trust your intuition and let go or set boundaries around things that are just no longer serving you. Please don't underestimate and undermine the impact of this step. And I know by far this is the hardest step to digest and take in because it's difficult leaving things and setting boundaries around things that have been comfortable for you. But my friend, you're not here on this channel because you want to live a comfortable life. You are here at this channel because you want to live a great life. And great and comfort don't always align together. You usually don't. You have to go through a lot of uncomfortableness to get to great, and then that becomes comfortable. But you need to go through a lot of uncomfortableness. And the more comfortable you become with the uncomfortable, the more unstoppable you will be. The more hard things you do in life, the more unstoppable you will be. That has been proven to me time and time again. The harder the choice I've made, the more the outcome of success and the effort and all the amazing things that have come as a result of it. So make those hard choices. Do the hard things. And most importantly, listen to yourself. This is everything that I had for you in this video. If you are truly ready to master your mind holistically, because I'm telling you, once you master your mind, you master the world. Once you master your mind, you become unstoppable. Once you master your mind, you achieve everything that it is that you want in your life. So if you want to learn how to master your mind holistically, use the link below to book a free 30-minute discovery call with me. Let's chat about what support for you looks like, and let's help you build that great life that you so deserve.